Tough class here as we get into this first set of limousines, and I would kind of equate this class to Halloween when my kids go trick-or-treating. They come home, they bring all kinds of different candy, and I like all the candy, but I don't know that there's one in here that just sets himself apart. So I think there's differences in the cattle. You can toss and cuss and discuss. I would say that Kendall and I had more debate and discussion on this class than any class we've had all day. If you park the cattle, to me, it's a no-doubter which one wins the class. This one from the side, just his symmetrical line, his presence from the profile, his extension with ample muscle shape. Again, you get down the line here, I mean, all these cattle have plenty of muscle. You just have to decide what you can and can't live with on a few things. But, you know, I know he needs to be a little looser built. Okay, I get that. So does the second one, so does the fourth one, the fifth one. And then when you get back to this one, I thought his look from the side, his freshness of touch, his look up through his front end, and the fact that he's got just a little more immaturity up through his front end, I think is an advantage for him in a lightweight class. Yeah, we need to move him a little differently off of his rear leg. He could get out and grab the ground with a little longer step, but when they're standing still, you prop him up from the profile. To me, he's the one, and to Kendall, that needed to win the class. This calf we like, you know, he's just really opened up. He's really stout. He's got a lot of horsepower as you get up on top of him. You know, he's a little coarser in his knees, a little plainer up through his head and his neck. Again, that's not going to affect him at his end point too much, but we get him out here with a show halter on him. Does he have just enough look? Does he have just enough balance to be a class winner in San Antonio? We ended up putting him second. We just didn't think he had quite the presence of our calf that wins. Now, you hang him upside down on the rail on the end of a hook, he's going to be pretty impressive. He's got a great turn to his back. He's boxy middled. We like all those things about him. Just need to make him a little more youthful, in our opinion, in a lightweight class. This one from the side mimics the class winner. Problem is he just not built as stout and tough as that class winner was in terms of muscle shape. He just fades too much over the edge of his loin. He's a little more regressed right in there behind his shoulder. I like him from the side. If I didn't have to get behind him, I think he could move up. And when you put your hands on him, he'll fade there over his final ribs. Nice calf, just needs more substance in him. This calf, probably a little more like the second place in terms of his body type, his dimension, his openness of skeleton. He, too, is just a notch plainer in the way that he's made. I thought he got just a nickel piecier in his top line, and you set him in motion. He wants to just come into a few pieces. This young lady did a great job. This calf's close, and you could sure justify getting him into a sales slot. She just missed out, and that's kind of gut-wrenching for me. I got little kids at home, too, and I understand about it. This calf's good-bodied. He's powerful. He's stout. He's probably the plainest of our initial cut here, and we thought he got just a little wonky on the move there off of his hind leg and up in through his front end. But she did a real good job. Let's give her a good hand. She really battled hard in a tough class. This yellow calf here, just solid. You know, we got 5 of these here cattle that, you know, we just alter them in a place or two and they can get up. I didn't think this one had just quite enough power to play in the end. This calf does have just a shade more power. He's a little off in terms of his body line. His rear leg needs to be fixed. One of the shapeliest ones in class comes out next. Again, in relation to his carcass weight, there's going to be a lot of ribeye area in that calf. Just too stilty and open up in through his shoulder, a little too fixed in his hind leg. Same for this next calf, good-bodied. We like that about him. He's a little off on his front end, and when you set him in motion, we need to make him just a little more limber. Good, solid, long-bodied steer here. Excellent showmanship that this young lady has. I like this calf. He just doesn't have enough power to get up in the class. But good set of steers, tough to put together.
Moving to the middleweight Class of the Limousin Division. This class has 25 entries. The weight range is 1228 to 1369. Heavyweight limousines, class 68. We are looking for steer 363, 967 and 365, 812. Again, class 68 heavyweight limousine, needing 2 steers to classification. 363, 967 and 365, 812. In the lightweight limousine, first place exhibited by Audrey Turner, Bastrop County 4-H. Second place shown by Cooper Igo, Plainview FFA. Third exhibited by Shiloh Cameron, Commerce FFA. And fourth place went to Andrew Kutzenberg, Brazos County 4-H.
Another really good middleweight class here, and obviously Blake and I pulled quite a few. There's a lot of quality in here, and yet with that being said, there's quite a bit of differences within these cattle and kind of where you want to lay your priorities. You know, the first couple cattle that are circling out here, long-bodied steers that are pretty smooth, actually relatively sound, maybe just give up some in terms of shape up high. These next few, and really to us, the big sorting difference in this particular class was some structure issues. These cattle have muscle. They handle relatively good and fresh. They just got to be sounder. Young man right here, a really good handling steer, up high out of the back of his shoulder. He's big in his edges all the way to his upper pin set. Just needs to be sounder structured. Young man right here in the turquoise, that steer he feels and he looks like he's handled and just fed out incredibly well for him. Just a little plainer in terms of his shape. We get into some of these next steers here. They're kind of larger outline kind of cattle that are longer bodied, more extended off either end of their framework. And with that being said, they just need more muscle. They need a little more finish to match that. We get into some of these down here. Again, these kids are doing a tremendous job. They've worked skin and hair great. Just run into some structure issues. Their cattle are good from the side. They look good. They look like show cattle. They just got to be sounder structured. Again, we keep working through all these cattle. Let's give these kids a big round of applause on all their efforts.
Attention in the barn. Anyone who had a champion or reserve champion today, come back to the scale area and you can pick up the card that has all of your instructions that you will need for tomorrow afternoon. Again, all champions and reserve champions of today, if you would return to the scale area and pick up a purple card.
Adams Fab. Established in 2007, they build custom livestock pinning and equipment to fit all your needs. Hanger feeder rods, adjustable slam gate latches, and skirted panels. It all comes standard. Custom pins made by hand and hot dipped galvanized so that you know that they're going to last. Adams Fab is a certified TIPS vendor and can design, fabricate, and install equipment to fit all your needs. Visit adamsfablivestock.com to get started today.
Attention in the barn. We need the exhibitor of the champion Angus, the champion and reserve Hereford, the champion and reserve Red Angus, champion Shorthorn, and reserve champion Polled Hereford. You exhibitors need to go back to the scale area and pick up your purple card that has your instructions for your tickets for Friday night. Let me go through that again. We need the champion Angus exhibitor, the champion and reserve Hereford exhibitors, champion and reserve Red Angus exhibitors, champion Shorthorn, and reserve champion Polled Hereford. We need you to go back to the scale area to pick up the purple card that has the instructions for you for your tickets to the rodeo tomorrow night.
We pick up the pace a little bit here in the middleweight Limousin class, and a pair of them that for Kendall and I rise to the top. And again, they're cut from different molds, and you know, they don't look anything alike, but I think they're the two highest quality steers you got in the grouping. But this one just swallows the other one in terms of back shape and spread and dimension. He's thick and powerful. As you get up on top of him, he handles very aggressively out of the backside of his shoulder and over the edge of his loin. So good in terms of the shape of his body, but yet still has the right kind of muscle draped over his skeleton. A good running gear underneath of him as well. The naysayers will say he's got a little neck. Yeah, he does. Ravenna still likes me. I got a little neck too, so it's okay on this calf. He's the best one in here in terms of his body shape, his handling quality, his ability to combine power and spread and dimension with the right kind of running gear. That's a good calf there that leads off the class. Now, where this one needs tweak, this one has the advantage. He's up-headed. He's really good up through his front end, smooth in his shoulder, and a little better at the top of his crest. It's when you dive into the cattle from behind and get your hands on him where he just doesn't measure up to the calf that wins the class. He's a little flatter over the edge of his loin. He's a little flatter in terms of his body shape. You take a picture from the side, you can get into that one pretty good. Get around behind him, watch him go away. To me, there's not enough terminal merit for him to get around that warhorse that wins the class. I like the steer in third. He's practical bodied. He's deep ribbed. Again, he's just a good feeding kind of a steer. It's just a little duller from the profile. He's a little more set out in his shoulder. He just doesn't have that extra bells and whistles of the two steers that precede him in the class, but a long-bodied, extended steer who you like his correctness, the top line. We just don't have quite the extras in that particular calf. Just a real solid steer in fourth. Doesn't blow you away in any one area, but, you know, as we were melting him down there, he's just hard to pick a great big hole in. Kind of same song, different verse with him and the calf that goes third. He doesn't have a lot of the extras, but he's pretty fundamentally correct. He ends up getting a sale spot because of that. We liked him a little better up in through his front end, the way his sternum's tucked up into his chest floor, just a little nicer than our calf that comes next. It's a husky middled, big rib kind of a calf that's got some doability to him. Again, I like him over his final ribs as far as his consistency of handle. It's when I get off to the side of him, deeper in his chest than he is in relation to his flank, throws him off kilter a little bit from the profile. Yellow calf's high cutability might exploit the yield grade equation. Him and the next steer as good as any cattle we've got in the group. He's a little easier to divide right in behind his shoulder. He gets a little slack in his top. He is a little thinner finished steer as well. This calf's muscular, lots of shape, lots of power. Again, in relation to his carcass weight, he's going to have some ribeye area, a little too stilty built for Kendall and I up and through his shoulder and the way he moves off of his hind leg. This one's a hoss, and I bet his mom said ouch when he was born because he is a wide load up in through his shoulder, out of his hip, and the way he goes into his quarter and he's stifle, not as fresh to the touch in terms of his skin and hair coat. The calf just wants to get a little piecier on us when we set him in motion. Big back, big hip in that particular calf. Then our calf here on the end, young lady's done a real good job, and I pulled him there after we got a few more in. I just like him from the side, just he's not messed up anywhere. But again, he just doesn't have the extra horsepower, the extra stoutness to get him up, and he's a little plainer up through his front end. But she battled hard, did a good job of getting a pull in a very competitive class. Let's give our middleweight Limousin exhibitors a good round of applause. Very competitive group.
Attention in the barn, Red Cross steer exhibitors, Class 71, lightweight Red Crosses. You can move toward classification, please. Once again, Class 71, lightweight Reds, be moving to classification, please. An announcement to steer exhibitors. We need all first place steers. After you have taken your photos, you need to take your steer across the way to the TLMA pens and advise them that you do have a first place calf. Once again, all first place steers, after getting photos made, take your steer across the way to TLMA pens and advise them that you are bringing a first place steer. And in the middleweight Limousin class, first place shown by Corbin Earhart, Lubbock County 4-H. Second place shown by Wyatt James, San Rayburn, Ivanhoe FFA. Third place, steer shown by Addison Dock, Yo FFA. And fourth place, exhibited by Roy Heffley, Medina County 4-H. We now have the heavyweight limousine class. This is class 68. 22 entries. Weight range is from 1370 to 1500 pounds. Attention in the house, we still have 4 exhibitors who need to go to the scale and pick up your purple cards. We need the champion Angus, reserve champion Hereford, reserve champion Polled Hereford, and reserve champion Red Angus. We need those 4 exhibitors to go to the scale and pick up your purple card.
As we round out this last class of Limmy steers, as Blake and I discussed, very consistent in all these cattle we circle out in terms of handle quality, skin and hide, and just quality of these kids taking care of them have done an incredible job. These first few, pretty good balanced cattle that just need more to them in terms of body shape. This young lady here, Blake and I discussed, that's probably one of the biggest hind-legged steers we've seen that's still clean jointed. He just needs to be fresher backed and fresher handling. But that thing's got some neat pieces. Young lady here has done a great job. That one is very fresh back, very expressive in terms of his hip and his stifle. Just needs to get out and go better. Same could be said for this one here. Long-bodied, pretty fresh in terms of shape. Just needs to be sounder structured and stouter at the ground. These next few here are pretty good in terms of just bone work and feature and foot size. They do have some shape, and like I said, I think they handle pretty smooth out of the back of their shoulder over their last rib. They just need to be freshened up from the outside as a heavyweight steer in terms of chest, floor, back, into flank. But like I said, very good cattle in terms of practicality of body shape. This one here was close for us, pretty deep bodied, pretty soft, all the way back out through his hip. Just needs to be stouter at the ground. We close here with some young ladies that have done a great job, long-bodied cattle that are presented very nicely, just maybe not quite enough to them. Really, really good class here. Let's congratulate all those kids.
Steer exhibitors in the Red Cross division, Class 71, lightweights. We need your steers brought to classification. Once again, Red Cross, Class 71. We need your steers to classification, please.
Every detail matters when preparing your livestock for the show ring. At Producers Co-op, we offer high-quality show feed, supplements, and supplies designed for your animal's best performance. Our specialized feeds promote optimal growth, conditioning, and muscle development for cattle, sheep, goats, pigs, and more. With expert advice and reliable products, we're dedicated to your success. Trust us to help you reach your goals with the feed that works as hard as you do. Come see why at Producers Co-op, it's better here.
Calf that wins this class will make you stand up and pay some attention now. I like this calf. Just like a lot of things about him in terms of his body, his build, his structure. Yeah, when you get your hands on him, he's big-backed, he's square out of his hip. So good and fresh in terms of his midrib, but not waisty. Yet the calf is so nice in the way he's shaped down his top and out of his hip, and he's just a picture of balance from the side. You know, again, I don't know where you pick a great big hole in this calf. He's really fundamentally correct. He's really fault-free from his foot quality and his dimension standpoint. I think a real heater here that leads off this class. He beats a good steer in second. That's a high cutability calf that grabs really nice over his top, really good over the edge of his loin. A calf that's really shaped up good out of the backside of his shoulder. Probably not as collected out of his hip as the steer that wins the class, but still fresh-fronted, a calf that still gets out and travels well. We thought he was just a little more youthful, had a little more eye appeal here than the calf that comes in third. Here's a good-bodied steer here that's very practical in terms of his type and kind. Good hind leg underneath this steer. He's probably just a little rougher as you study him all the way through and just doesn't have some of the extras of our top pair of cattle, but good-bodied steer that's mellow to the touch, like a lot of things about him. Probably getting just a tick more stale in terms of his appearance than our top two are, but still very good cattle. This calf's a structural integrity away from, I think, getting up in the class here, standing still. You could sure work him up. He's big-backed. He's got a lot of muscularity as you study him all the way through. He's a little upright in his shoulder. He's a little tight as you watch him scoot there from behind. For Kendall and I, we just need to loosen him up structurally, but still very deserving of a sale spot. The calf, the young man exhibits the calf as best as he can. Never had him out of place one time in the whole class. Good job to him. Nice calf here that comes out next. Just kind of what you see is what you get from a practicality standpoint. Kind of a beefy made, big topped rascal that's just a little too plain in his overall makeup, but she battled hard and did a great job. Same with this calf. We're just getting away from ourselves a little bit as far as maturity. He's just a notch staler in terms of his handle and his appearance. Young man did a great job, though. This calf was always on point. He just didn't grab with the freshness of some of the other cattle in the line. Nice steer to round out. Big hind leg underneath of him. Need to clean up his joints just a little bit. He gets just a little coarser up and through his shoulder. So it's just a collection of a few things that drives this calf down, but still one that's sure worthy of bringing him to the show. Good calf there to close out a very competitive class.
And in the championship drive for the Limousines, out of Class 1 lightweights, first place was won by Aubrey Turner, Bastrop County 4-H. In the medium weights, that class was won by Corbin Earhart, Lubbock County 4-H. And in the heavyweights, first place went to Lawson Hale, Miami FFA. In the lightweight class, second place steer was shown by Cooper Igo of Plainview FFA. Medium weight, second place, exhibited by Wyatt James, Sam Rayburn, Ivanhoe FFA. And in the heavyweight, second place shown by Kendall Rayfield, Lubbock Cooper FFA. Reminder in the barn, Red Cross, Class 71. That's the lightweight Reds. We're looking for steer 361865. We need you to bring your steer to classification. Once again, Class 71, looking for steer 361865.
really competitive lineup at Limousines, and that lightweight class was tough to put together for Kendall and I, but I'm happy with this steer as he get him back out here. I think he fits the bill from a profile standpoint. I like his extension. I like his length of body. Still strong in his top line. He's not as powerful and stout as these oxes that come behind him, but he's still nice cattle from the side. He's made well. Young lady does an exquisite job getting him presented. Calf that won the second class is a real thick, dimensional kind of a steer. Very powerful when you get your hands on him. He grabs right in terms of his top. Talked about him in class. You know, again, he's not the prettiest one we've seen in his crest. Excuse me, and up in through his front end. But the calf has really opened up in terms of his body shape, like his width and like his dimension. I'll be honest with you, my poker face is about as good as my diet. This calf out of the third class is a heck of a steer. We like his balance, we like his attractiveness, we like his soundness. It's pretty easy for us. That calf's the champion, the heavyweight. Congratulations.
And the champion limousine shown by Lawson Hale, Miami FFA. We'll lead up the heavyweight in second place. It's Kendall Rayfield.
We think it gets a little closer here for reserve, and you bring in that second place heavyweight in. And again, a lot of good things about this calf from a structure standpoint. Like his foot quality. I like his athleticism as you ask him to get out and go. We talked about him in class. He's a little rounder out of his hip. Probably doesn't balance quite as well out of the rear third of his body, but he is a little neater at his crest and a little better up and through his front end. This calf is really fresh touching. He's big-bodied. He's really practical, really stout. We talked about, you know, you could neaten him up a little bit in there up through his head and his neck, but still a calf that you like a lot of things about. Fresh and compositionally correct and still a good steer. So we think it's close between these two. Kendall and I will toss him around here and she'll get our reserve. But again, let's give him a good round of applause. Heck of a set of limousines.
Reserve champion limousine 2026, shown by Carbon Earhart, Lubbock County 4-H. Class 71 is entering the ring, so steer number 361865. If you can get up here quickly, you can make your class. Again, 361865, Class 71 Red Crosses. Red Cross Division, Class 72, middleweight steers. Be moving to classification, please. Red Cross Division, Class 72, medium weight steers. Be moving forward for classification, please. Once again, a reminder in the barn, we need the exhibitor of the champion Angus, the exhibitor of the reserve champion Red Angus, and the exhibitor of the reserve champion Polled Hereford to go to the scale area and pick up your purple card that has your instructions for your tickets to the rodeo tomorrow night. Just an announcement. We have had brought to the announcer stand a black steno book with a large paper clip over the edge of it. If it happens to be yours, it was found in the ladies' restroom. Steer exhibitors, Class 72, Middleweight Reds. We're missing steer number 357433. Again, Middleweight Reds, Class 72. We're looking for steer 357433.
Well, perhaps the biggest class we've had in the last 2 days of judging. This is a large class, and to be honest, there's every flavor, kind, color, size, shape of steer you could ask for in one class. You know, these kids that are circling out, we've said it all day long, they've worked extremely hard to get to this point. It's hot out. They're bringing these cattle to us in good form, and you know, we enjoy talking to them as we work through them. There's some big picture things that we could maybe work on at home, just in terms of structure, maybe have a little more muscle, maybe have a little bit more feedability in terms of body shape and finish and cover behind their shoulder. You know, this steer right here has plenty of shape up high. He's expressive and big in terms of his upper hip and his lower quarter and stifle. Just needs to hit Blake and I a little more practical in terms of his body shape and his lower joints as well in motion. This is a big-bodied steer here that is pretty good right behind his shoulder in terms of depth and heart from forerib to flank. Just needs to be lengthened out of both ends. We throw into the mix here in terms of just bone work and feature and foot size. We got some steers that have those advantages.
A loose steer. Steer captured.
Like I was saying, as we working through some of these steers here ahead of me, real good from the profile. Steers that are good about their head shape, their neck, and how it ties into their shoulder. So some length of body, length of hip. And again, these kids have worked hard to get to this point. They just give up a little in terms of muscle shape or just balance and skeletal quality from the side. If you will, let's give these kids one big round of applause as we work through this first class of Red Crosses.
Red Cross exhibitors, Class 73, heavyweight Red Cross steers. You can be moving to classification. Once again, heavyweight, Class 73 Red Crosses, be moving to classification, please. Attention in the barn, if we could get Peyton Norris, if you would come to the scale area and pick up your purple card for your instructions. Again, Peyton Norris of Honey Grove FFA, if you would return to the scale area to pick up your purple card with your instructions for the rodeo.
Every detail matters when preparing your livestock for the show ring. At Producers Co-op, we offer high-quality show feed, supplements, and supplies designed for your animal's best performance. Our specialized feeds promote optimal growth, conditioning, and muscle development for cattle, sheep, goats, pigs, and more. With expert advice and reliable products, we're dedicated to your success. Trust us to help you reach your goals with the feed that works as hard as you do. Come see why at Producers Co-op, it's better here.
A reminder in the barn, all champions and reserve champions will stay here in the barn. If all other first place steers, once you have taken your pictures, take your steer across to the TLMA pens and make sure they know that you are bringing them a first place steer.
We get to these lightweight Red Crosses and kind of a mixed bag as you get into them. Just a lot of different types and kinds. And again, you could shuffle these around, much similar to our lightweight Limousin class. A lot of good cattle, but just a lot of different parts and pieces to try to blend together. The Red Baldy for Kendall and I becomes the one that's got some stoutness. He's got some muscularity. He's a calf that's round in terms of his body shape and still correct enough from a skeletal design perspective. When you get off the side of the steer, he balances up pretty well. He's a calf that's got some look, but he's got some horsepower to him as well. And we talked about adequate in terms of his structure. These two cattle, when you get your hands on them, handle really well over their final ribs and up over their top, especially for lightweight cattle. And we thought this one blended together pretty nicely from the side. This one's really good in terms of his look, expertly shown by this young lady. If I could reassemble his hind leg, I think I could get him up here on the top spot in the class. He just wants to get a little calculated in his movement. He's a little wider in the way he drives off of his rear end than what I would prefer, but he's cocky-necked. He's got an arrogant presence about him that I like, and he's got some muscularity. We just got to reassemble his hind leg for me. This calf was the first one in the ring, and I didn't initially pull him, but I just thought that his correctness is what ended up working him up in this class. He doesn't blow you away in terms of topside dimension, but he's a real well-made calf that's got some structural integrity. And again, as you start piecing him and comparing to him some cattle down the line, he's uniform in terms of his body depth. He's parallel in his lines. He needs a little more muscle. I'd be the first to admit that, but you know, he's one that ends up getting a sale spot just because he's made well, he's correctly balanced, and he's got some structure. This calf does have more forearm, but with that, he gets a little set out in his shoulder. I need to rework him up in through his front end, and that is also apparent when you set the cattle in motion. He's a good-bodied calf, though, that's got some huskiness to him, like that about him. This calf's really muscular, high cutability kind of a steer, a little rounder off of his shoulder and out of his hip. Need to balance him up just a little bit, but again, a muscular calf that should rib a pretty big eye. The calf that comes out next here is a little more moderate in his frame. He's a big-bodied kind of a calf, though, that's practical in terms of his rib. He's a little necky as you get off to him from the profile. He's got just a little more jowl working down in there. I like to clean him up a little bit at the top of his neck as well. But stout-featured, well-fed calf that handles accordingly. Next calf is a little more extended from the profile, a little neater up and through his front end and chest. We didn't think he had just quite enough feature and density to get around that calf that goes right ahead of him. This young lady battled hard. I pulled him there a little bit into the class after he was on the other side. He's a good steer, and she worked hard. We get on down the line here in 5 good calves, maybe just come in a few more pieces for us, don't balance quite as well. We get down there to a calf on the end that just needs a little more muscle. Good job to these light cross exhibitors. Let's show them our appreciation as they head out of the ring.
Moving to the middleweight Red Crosses, this class has 27 entries. Weight range is 1195 to 1350, and once again placing 6. And in Class 71, the lightweight class of Red Crosses, first place was exhibited by Jensen George, Jasper County 4-H. Second place, shown by Kylie Byler, Bangs FFA. Third place, Phelan Adams, Brown County 4-H. Fourth place, shown by Harper Rouse, Madison County 4-H. Fifth place, exhibited by Hattie Kalina, Runnels County 4-H. And sixth place, shown by Ashton Vandersdale, New Caney FFA.
Another very good class here of middleweights, and I think as a whole, very consistent in terms of handle quality. And these particular steers that circle out, these kids once again have done their part at home and getting them here and getting them shown correctly. You know, a couple of these in here, this black and white or red and white one here has plenty of shape up high, plenty of shape in terms of his upper hip and lower quarter and stifle. Maybe just a little tighter moving, a little coarser in terms of his hock there. This Hereford marked one here is awesome in terms of his body shape, looks to be very practical from his forerib heart back into his rear rib and flank. Just needs to match that with more muscle shape, driving right away from Blake and I in terms of upper pin set, lower hip and quarter. This one here, very balanced steer. That's awesome down his top line. He handles very, very nicely up high. Wish he matched what he had up high down low. He needs to be a little stouter in terms of his footwork and just his bone as well, but up high he's got plenty of shape. A couple steers here that are really nice from the profile, smooth-shouldered, long-bodied steers that just need more to them in terms of degree of finish and in terms of muscle shape. These two young ladies here have done a tremendous job with these steers. Skin and hide qualities there, big bone, big-footed kind of cattle that maybe just get out horse just a little from a muscle and look perspective from the side. Let's congratulate all these kids, you in the audience. They've done a great job.
Steer exhibitors, Class 73, Heavyweight Reds. We're looking for steer 357891 and steer 367053. We need your steers brought to classification. Once again, Class 73, Heavyweight Reds. Looking for 2 steers, 357891 and steer 367053. Bring your steers to classification immediately.
Adams Fab. Established in 2007, they build custom livestock pinning and equipment to fit all your needs. Hanger feeder rods, adjustable slam gate latches, and skirted panels, it all comes standard. Custom pins made by hand and hot dipped galvanized so that you know that they're going to last. Adams Fab is a certified TIPS vendor and can design, fabricate, and install equipment to fit all your needs. Visit adamsfablivestock.com to get started today.
Very competitive class of Red Cross middleweights here, and this yellow baldy here that wins the class. Again, from a structure standpoint, athleticism, having enough back shape, some spread and some balance. He fits the bill for what we've tried to set the tone to do for a couple of days. We like the calf, and when you get your hands on him, you like him in the turn of his body, you like him out through his hip, his quarter and his stifle, and she gets him propped up here from the profile. There's some balance and some symmetry to this calf. Sets his neck up nice at the top of his shoulder. Built a little stouter than our steer that comes in second in terms of his foot and his bone. He's very, very athletic when you ask him to get out and go, and his parts and pieces blend together very nicely from the side. The Hereford appearing steer here that looks like he might have been a classification casualty. He's a good calf. He's good bodied. He's really nice in terms of his lines as well. Not built as stout in his foundation. Doesn't have quite the shape that we find in the calves on either side of him. But I thought his structural integrity and the way he hooked into his shoulder and the way he goes and off of his rear leg was just a bit better than our red steer that we have in third. This calf's muscular. He's got a lot of shape as you get up on top of him. He's got a lot of spread and dimension there. I would just change him structurally off of his front end and the way that he drives, off of his rear leg. He can get a little camped out on us in his top line as well. But young lady did a good job. That's a very nice steer. This calf, again, I assume was a classification steer that got moved to the Red Crosses here, but I like this calf. His body's good. He's stout-featured. You know, he's a little thicker necked, a little coarser headed, maybe, but I like the steer. He handles well. He's very practical and useful in his type and kind. Not that extra pizzazz up through his front end as some of those steers that beat him in the class. I like this calf. We need to set his knee back into him a little bit, but he handles really well. He's high cutability, very fresh to the touch. A little hooky on his hind leg. We need to, like we talked about, redirect his shoulder there just a bit. But just a real good kind of a calf in terms of the way that he handles, mellow-bodied, good over his final ribs, and has some muscularity. The calf that comes out next, very high cutability, steer that's, again, going to exploit the yield grade equation real well at his endpoint. He gets a little outside of himself and a little awkward in the way that he moves off of his front end, a little fixed in his hind leg as well, but I like the cutability and the back shape that that steer brings to the table. Good steer here, the young lady has, and I grabbed him there on his way out. I just like this flexibility. I know he's probably a little staler in terms of his hair coat here and his skin, but that's just a good calf. He's long, he's extended. She's done a good job getting him to the show. This calf, we got to change in his knee, but you know, the calf's got some muscularity, but we got to fix him up front. This calf's another nice kind of a steer from the profile. We got to give him a shot more muscle. Got plenty of muscle here. We're a little set out in our shoulder, a little tubular in our body design. Good class, very competitive up high.
And the results of Class 72, the medium weight Red Crosses. In first place was Scotland Roffler of Atascosa County 4-H. Second place, shown by Sage Bearwinkle, Spring Lake Earth FFA. Third place, exhibited by Paisley Claunch, Lamb County 4-H. Fourth place, shown by Duke Grotchke, Riesel FFA. Fifth place, shown by Reese Thane, Guadalupe County 4-H. And sixth place, shown by Garrett Davis, Lubbock County 4-H.
Well, a very nice set of Red Crosses here to round us out on day 2. And I think as we circle these things, and Blake and I discuss some differences, I think as we get into these heavyweights, it's maybe just a difference of freshness in terms of handle quality and muscle up high and out of their hip. There's several that were close for us. Obviously, we have quite a few pulled in here in the mix. Big-bodied cattle that are pretty sound, pretty functional in terms of their kind. They've obviously done well at the bunk, maybe just a little nondescript in terms of muscle shape up high and out of their hip. We got some good-looking cattle here that are long-necked, good down their top line, really long out of their hip, maybe just not quite as much muscle shape, maybe not quite as much practicality about their center body. This one right here is big-legged, pretty nice in terms of a feature and foot size underneath of him. At the same time, maybe not quite as comfortable on his left rear hock, maybe not quite as practical on his center body. We got a couple steers here, pretty fresh in terms of shape, actually up high and out through their stifle. Just need a little more body shape to go along with it down low. So we work back in here again. These kids have done a tremendous job. I think these cattle are really smooth handling in behind their shoulder, and as we study them into their loin, they just need to be more practical down low as you work them down in their lower body design back into their rear rib and flank and at the surface as well. We got a nice steer here, young man's done a good job. Big-bodied, real practical from forward to flank, just a little plainer made. We got a couple steers here that are more elevated in terms of their kind. They're pushing the heavyweight here. Maybe just need to be fresher handling as they're a little staler. I know it's hot out. I know it's late in the day, but we got a really good crowd. Why don't we put our hands together and congratulate all these kids in this last class of the day?
Attention in the barn, if we could get Raylyn Thomas to bring her steer back to the scale area, please. Raylyn Thomas, if you could bring your steer back here to the show ring area, please.
Every detail matters when preparing your livestock for the show ring. At Producers Co-op, we offer high-quality show feed, supplements, and supplies designed for your animal's best performance. Our specialized feeds promote optimal growth, conditioning, and muscle development for cattle, sheep, goats, pigs, and more. With expert advice and reliable products, we're dedicated to your success. Trust us to help you reach your goals with the feed that works as hard as you do. Come see why at Producers Co-op, it's better here.
A challenging way to wrap up the day here in the Red Cross show, and this has been tough classes to put together, a lot of good steers up and down the line, and just comes down to some personal preference. And as we made that last lap, Kendall and I most comfortable with the steer here that the young man has that leads off the class. He's just kind of the hybrid calf in this particular group in terms of, you know, he's got some muscle, he's got some spread, he's got some handling quality, but that with that, we like his build up and through his shoulder and his knee just a little bit better than the steer that comes in second. I think he uses and works his hind leg just a little bit better as well. You know, the calf does have a good shape. He's got a nice spread. He's one that's got some thickness in his forearm and out through his hip and does it with a pretty good structural base. So he's the one that we landed on here to win the class. This calf we liked initially, and he still gravitate to him from the side, really fresh at the top of his neck and down into the base of his chest. Again, a steer that handles very well. He's mellow to the touch. He's got some finish, yet he's got some muscularity up over his top. We didn't read him being as good off the edge of his shoulder. He's built just a little stiltier up in the pitch of his shoulder and off of his hind leg. And again, when we have that calf to lead off the class that we thought was similar to him, we just picked on his structure just a bit and put him second. Again, another classification casualty, I would assume here, that comes in third. Very nice calf from the side. Just gets outpowered by these initial pair here in terms of his foot and his bone and his muscularity. Great look to that calf. He proportions well. He's very well balanced from the profile. Just at the end of the day, he's not manly enough to get around those top two in the class. The Brockle-faced Baldy here, really good in the shape of his rib, really busted open in the center part of his body and down his top, out of his hip. Need to rework his hind leg travel just a little bit for us. He's starting to show some wear and tear in terms of maturity, but still a practical, easy feeding kind of a steer. We like his depth of body. This next calf, I got a little tough on him structurally there at the start. That's still where I'd change him. Boy, he has got a big back laid in him. Again, a very high cutability kind of a steer. If we could just change him off both ends of his skeleton, watch him get out and grab the ground a little differently, this guy can work himself up quite a bit in this class. At the end of the day, we just didn't think his structure was quite good enough. Calf that rounds out our 6 here, a real just mellow kind of a steer. Kind of what you see is what you get. He doesn't blow you away any one area. It looks like he might have got a bit of a tough weight draw out here. He just gets out pounded a little bit. Just a quality calf. The young man does a good job. Just doesn't have some of the extra horsepower of some of the other steers. Long-bodied calf here that just needs more shape. Young man's got him in tune, though, in terms of the way that he looks. We could have moved this calf up if we could get him a little different on his hind leg. Just reel him in a bit as you watch him go away from you. He's plenty far outside of himself. Good cattle still down the line, stout and husky, a little chunky necked here. This one's a little past his prime from a freshness standpoint. Hey, I like that calf, and we pulled him because of his design. Get your hands on him, he's just a bit more disappointing. High cutability steer here that gets a little tucked in his forerib, cut up in his flank. Beefy made steer here that needs a little more presence than a nice calf to close out that's sound structured. Just need to give him more strength all the way through to get him up in the class. Great set of steers. Let's give them a good round of applause here in our last class of the day.
And in the champion drive of the Red Cross division, out of the lightweights, first place went to Jensen George, Jasper County 4-H. In the medium weights, first place was Scotland Hoffler of Atascosa County 4-H, and in the heavyweights, first place was shown by Merrill Torres, DeWitt County 4-H. In the lightweight class, second place steer was shown by Kylie Byler, Bangs FFA. Medium weight, second place, Sage Beerwinkle, Spring Lake Earth FFA. And in the heavyweight, second place, Kinsey Gindras of Fall City FFA.
Well, as we wrap up day 2 here, it's been a very, very good show, and I think the quality's been very good. If you hear about a tidal wave in San Antonio later, it's because I'm going to go jump in that pool at the Manger Hotel here in a little bit. It's hot out here. I'm going to go cool off. I don't necessarily have a beach body, so I wouldn't expect any of you to come to the pool, but that's where I'm going to head because this has been really, really good. I'm hot, but I kept my jacket on because I'm afraid to look underneath here when I do get it off. I bet I've sweat through both shirts that I got on. But hey, this has been a heck of a show. The quality's been tremendous. Nice for me to come down here. I got to hang out with my sister and my brother-in-law, my niece and nephew yesterday. They had the championship in the Market Lamb show, so it was good to catch up with them. I don't get to see them as much as what I'd like, but you know, again, an honor for Kendall and I to be out here. We've talked to every kid. We've handled every steer. We've chatted with every kid, and I'm telling you, these kids have been top-notch. I haven't seen a stern look. Maybe Kendall did, but I sure didn't. And, you know, it's tough calls out here. I don't know that this was the easiest division to put together here on the last set, but these cattle certainly have some good things about them. So let's give them a good hand, if you would. They've battled a long time. They've waited. I don't know how hot it is outside. It's got to be hugging 100 because it's lucky for these fans in here. We're moving some air. The lightweight calf won his class because of his muscularity. He's got some dimension. He gets a little slack in his top, but I thought the calf, just in terms of having some shape and some spread, and for a lightweight steer, having some muscle in relation to his carcass weight, needed to win that first class. The yellow calf really grew on me in that particular class, and Kendall as well. Just a real solid kind of a steer. He ain't going to blow you away any one area. You know, he don't have extra horsepower or anything like that. Pretty fundamentally correct. He's got a long body. He's extended up through his front end. Just a real solid kind of a steer for that young lady. And the steer that won the heavyweight class, I think he's just fault-free. You know, he's opened up in his body cavity. He's got some width and some dimension. He's a little coarser maybe up in through his shoulder and his front end, but again, I thought he was the most fundamentally correct one in that group. His angle of his shoulder and the build of his hind leg was just a bit better than our steer that was second. So we got good seconds as well. It's going to wrap up day two. It's been a very, very good show thus far. My congratulations to these exhibitors. Kendall and I will send a pair of these here to the Champion Drive. Let's wrap up day two. Again, show them our appreciation. Tell them thanks. They've done a heck of a job. I appreciate all of our ring help and getting the steers to us in a timely fashion.
And the champion red 2026, Merrill Torres, DeWitt County 4-H. And the reserve champion shown by Kenzie Gendrich of Fall City FFA.